News 5 with Dave Robinson. Steve Horstmeyer's weather. J.D. Hayworth has sports. Now, Cincinnati's News 5 tonight.
Good evening. No doubt there were picnics ruined, trips on the river that had to be postponed, outdoor activities that will have to wait until next weekend. But few are complaining because at last it rained. Most areas of the tri-state got enough rain to make the grass greener again. And the rain was steady enough and soaked into the ground well enough to save lawns and backyard gardens that had started to become parched, especially since many areas had sprinkling bans in effect. It was also welcomed by area farmers who, while not in bad shape, were beginning to see the effects of the dry weather. News 5's Lauren Chesley went to a local farm tonight.
That's what the dry weather would look like that, and this is what when you get the water.
It's been a long, tiring 3 weeks for Tim Eichholz. He owns this 200-acre farm in eastern Hamilton County, which harvests mostly corn. And with this recent dry spell, his crops have been in danger, despite an irrigation system.
We're running 24 hours a day. It seemed like we had 2 and 3 pumps running most of the time. You'd have, about the time you think you had something going right, we broke down or a problem, but we thought we were getting about 20 hours a day out of the system, and we were making it, but we were worrying every minute that we wouldn't be.
The Eichholz farm, like so many other farms in this area, were in desperate need of rain, and today's shower came as a blessing to them.
We were sure hoping that it would come. It was long overdue, and just getting awful tired, pumping a lot of water and staying up all night and trying to keep things watered down.
The Eichholzes depend on this farm for their livelihood. All the things that are grown here are sold in their store, which is right on the farm. They start in the spring with strawberries and end in the fall with pumpkins. And Tim says it can get frustrating at times when you have to constantly depend on Mother Nature.
Every morning. You think, boy, I can't make another one, but it seems like once you get out and get things going, you forget about that and do what you got to do. So, but it does. It gets kind of tough, and you feel like it's never going to end.
But at least for now, enough rain came in time to save these crops. Lauren Chesley, News 5 tonight.
So far today, we've had about 1 inch of rain, and although it's some relief, we're still about 8.5 inches below normal for this time of year. Police in Warsaw, Kentucky believe a 17-year-old Price Hill youth somehow fell off a houseboat on the Ohio River last night. They found the body of Bradley Boggs in the river this morning. Police do not suspect foul play. An autopsy will be performed tomorrow. The results of an autopsy on 12-year-old Charlie Heimer of Lemon Township could be ready tomorrow also. Tonight, the Butler County coroner investigator says that he suspects the boy died after inhaling gasoline fumes. News 5's John London reports the tragedy points up the dangers of a cheap high.
There has been no official ruling yet on the cause of Charles Heimer's death, but there has been plenty of speculation that the boy had been sniffing gasoline fumes in a heavily weeded lot where his body was found. According to the boy's father, Charles had sniffed gasoline on a previous occasion, and he had been warned about the danger of doing that. The people who operate the Poison Control Center here at University Hospital are aware of reports of gasoline sniffing in other parts of the country over the past couple of years. They say it apparently produces a quick high that can rapidly lead to death.
A small amount can sensitize his heart muscle and cause like this arrhythmia, and it's potentially fatal. It happens very quickly. Often the user, the abuser, never even reaches the hospital.
The medical literature suggests gasoline sniffing started on Indian reservations in New Mexico some 20 years ago. Dr. Siegel has talked with kids at the Juvenile Detention Center about the risks, and he wonders if they're aware of them.
Sometimes I think not, and I think it really underscores the need to increase drug education among teenagers and pre-teenagers.
According to Dr. Siegel, sniffing liquid correction fluid, commonly called whiteout, has caused 4 deaths in 3 years in the Cincinnati area. John London, News 5 Tonight.
Now, the Poison Control Center says on the average there are 2 deaths a year here in greater Cincinnati due to inhaling solvents. Last week, Cincinnati City Council called for a no-alcohol zone on the Serpentine Wall, but tonight that proposal does not seem all that certain. The people who organize Riverfest saying setting up an area for those who don't drink is just not feasible. This has upset people who like to bring their families down for the fireworks show.
I have always felt that if the people who want to have their beer or alcohol had their own place, they would be much happier too without other folks who don't indulge complaining about it.
Barb Desborough goes on to say that she fears someone may be accidentally injured by a person who has had too much to drink. The Army is now saying that it is having some serious alcohol and drug problems with its civilian guards. The civilians protect some of the nation's nuclear and chemical weapons sites. After studying the guards at 11 such sites, the Army will now be making thorough background checks on all civilian guards. You are looking at Union Carbide's Bhopal fertilizer plant. It was here 2 years ago that more than 2,000 people lost their lives when the chemical methyl isocyanate was released from the plant. Union Carbide now believes that release was deliberate, sabotage by a former employee carrying a grudge. The company won't say who that employee is. The Indian government once blamed the leak on the faulty design of the plant. There was no leak or explosive fuel from 3 derailed tanker cars here in Grover City, California. As a precaution, 3,000 people in this area were evacuated, but none of the tankers ruptured or leaked. 9 cars of the 85-car Southern Pacific freight train jumped the tracks last night. 3 of the cars were carrying isobutane, a potentially explosive liquefied gas. There was no explosion, just fire aboard this American Trans Air DC-10 jetliner today. It erupted in flames less than an hour after 300 passengers got off the plane at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. The plane had just flown in from Hawaii. Authorities have no idea what started the fire, but described that plane as a total loss. A plane in Paris made a rather unsightly landing today. It all began when French gold medalist Guy Dreux was running for a promotional film along the Champs-Élysées. He first heard and then saw a plane on its final approach to the boulevard. The pilot, Albert Moultrie, said he saw this as a great opportunity to stage a protest over his recent arrest on spy charges in Morocco. His plane was taxied off the street and Moultrie was placed under arrest. Still to come, we'll tell you why a group of arms control experts are visiting Moscow.
Inside.
Cincinnati City Council goes into executive session tomorrow morning, the second straight Monday that's happened. And once again, Police Chief Larry Whalen is the reason. Whalen is being investigated by the Police Internal Affairs Unit for allegedly attending police functions where on-duty officers drank and for selectively enforcing department regulations. City Manager Scott Johnson is supposed to give Council a report on that investigation. Also tomorrow, crucial talks begin in Moscow that may determine if an arms deal and a summit conference are possible this year. The U.S. delegation arrived in Moscow today, 7 negotiators hoping to get Soviet leader Gorbachev's response to President Reagan's apparent concession on the Star Wars defense plan. But no Soviet officials greeted the Americans when they arrived, not a good sign. NBC's Robin Lloyd reports the Reagan administration is trying to put up a unified and firm front.
Officials here are downplaying the divisions within the administration, claiming there is a broader consensus now on U.S. arms control policy than before. Aides say the U.S. negotiators have been told to stress to the Soviets that the U.S. will continue to comply with the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, which sets controls on defensive nuclear weapons. But officials say the team will offer no deals on limiting the president's space defense program, the key demand of the Soviets. The head of that program, General James Abramson, said today on Meet the Press that Star Wars will not be used as a bargaining chip.
And we're going fast, just going forward as fast as we can. And that's what we intend to do.
But in his letter last month to Soviet leader Gorbachev, President Reagan appeared to leave some maneuvering room. He told Gorbachev he would be willing to hold off the deployment of these space defense weapons for 7.5 years. The Soviets want a delay of 15 to 20 years. White House aides insist there has been no change in administration policy on Star Wars. But officials admit the president is adopting a more compromising stance now, not only to diffuse critics in Congress, but also to help clear the way for a summit. Robin Lloyd, NBC News at the White House.
Sparked by a growing number of mortgage defaults, especially those insured by the Federal Housing Administration, the government has today announced new guidelines for home mortgages. Anyone who has been paid a claim on a defaulted mortgage within the past 3 years will no longer be eligible for an FHA loan. And now credit checks will be required on anyone wishing such a loan. The government is trying to solve another fraud problem, this one across national borders. Every year, nearly 20,000 cars are stolen and taken across the border into Mexico and then abandoned. The problem is in Mexican police notifying anyone that they have the cars, because after 45 days, the government there resells the cars and keeps the profits. Officials here are upset because of 10,000 U.S. cars found there each year, only 1,200 are returned. And a new report out says that Americans are driving more and spending more on their cars. As a whole, Americans drove a record 1.65 trillion miles last year. That is more than 5 round trips to the sun. We also spent a record amount of money keeping our cars running, up 7% from 1984, and the average cost of maintaining a car in America was just short of $3,000. Well, up next, Steve Horstmeyer sings of rainy days and Mondays. His work week forecast is coming up next. Well, you know, everybody hates to have a rainy Sunday, but we needed this.
I think most people enjoyed this. Yes.
Yeah.
Got over an inch.
Break.
Over an inch officially, just over an inch, and up to 2.5 inches in some spots around the tri-state.
Right?
So it was spotty, but every place got some, which is good news.
That's good.
Let's go on and take a look at our weather shot first of all, then we'll get into the current conditions. In Cincinnati, it's really nice out there. Now, that's a shot from earlier. The rain has now stopped in the tri-state. I'll show you that on radar in just a minute. Temperature under a clear sky in Cincinnati is 64 degrees. The humidity up there, 97%. Now, the winds are light, southwest at 3, so the combination of humidity and light winds could give us some fog in the morning, especially the river valleys. And the rainfall officially 1.02 inches, but as much as 2.5 inches in some spots. Much needed and much welcome rainfall. Let's go on and check the radar. First of all, we're going to see where the rainfall is. As a matter of fact, our weather always, in most cases that is, comes from the northwest. No rain showing up back there, but to the east, through the Huntington, West Virginia area, see this line of showers and thunder showers down into south central Kentucky. That's all moving southeastward. That is the front, or at least a little bit ahead of the front, and that's all going to continue to move that way. So even some rain coming for the parched areas of the southeast. So pretty much good news in the weather. Let's go on now and take a look at Cincinnati's thermometer. This morning's low didn't get any too low. It's lower now than it was this morning, but this morning it bottomed out at 68. 50, the record low, set in 1952. The high temperature today made it up to 77. The record high was 98, set back in 1887. Now the satellite picture shows you the same thing you just saw on radar, showing the clouds, and you can see the bright white clouds to the southeast of the tri-state. All those are moving southeast away from us. Behind this area of cloud cover, nothing but patchy clouds, and those let a lot of sunshine through during the daytime, so it does look like we're going to have quite a lot of sunshine the next few days and really no rainfall. Now let's go into the weather map, and you can see that our high-pressure system is moving out of Canada. Now that's bringing dry, less humid air our way. It's going to continue to move southeastward, so all the rain now is ahead of the front, which is now to the east of us, and so things are looking much, much nicer. No hot, humid weather coming our way. Let's put the weather maps into motion, and you're going to see where everything goes. This front zooms off to the east coast. The high-pressure system goes from the Dakotas right over the top of northern Ohio, and so it looks like we're in for fairly pleasant weather Tuesday, Wednesday, and then towards the end of the week, count on a warming trend. A little bit of southwesterly wind and a little bit of moisture from the Gulf could bring some shower activity by the end of the week, maybe Thursday or Friday, but Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, dry and pleasant, courtesy of Canadian high pressure. The forecast then overnight, clear with patchy fog, especially in the river valleys, low of 58. For Monday morning, sunny and pleasant. At 8 a.m., the temperature about 66 degrees, and through the rest of the day Monday, partly cloudy and pleasant. Monday's high temperature with low humidities about 78. Here's the extended outlook. The normal high, which is what the average high temperature is at this time of the year, is 86. The average low has dropped off a degree at 64. Temperatures are going to start to slide off to lower levels for the next couple of weeks. 78 for Monday, 78 for Tuesday, 80 for Wednesday. Partly cloudy to sunny skies. And look at these morning temperatures. Tomorrow morning, 58, 52 on Tuesday, and 58 on Wednesday. So pleasant sleeping weather heading our way. Your air conditioner is going to get a rest. Your garden got a drink, so things are looking pretty good. Have a good week, and now here's Dave.
Thanks, Steve. Just ahead, the Reds' winning streak is stalled at 3. J.D. Hayworth has all of tonight's sports action when we come back.
In tire service,